Good afternoon, Professor, co-fellow educators, and parents. Welcome to our Family and Culture Advocacy Week. My name is Raquel Blancher, and I have the honor to present to you and to give you resources today that help us understand the power of parent involvement. I came across the other day to a very nice article from the NIAC.org website written by Dr. Donna Kirkwood. And she explained to us that as parents, we are the primary educators of our children. In other words, children are learning as they have interactions with each one of us. So, as the primary educators, I know it feels like a lot of responsibility, but in fact, we should be embracing that role and helping our children to interact in ways that are positive for their brain development and that are positive for their emotional and physical development as well. We understand that family relationships are important and the core of children feeling loved and safe. When children have at home a support system that helps them understand what's happening around the world, what's happening in their school, a system with parents and grandparents that get involved to their level and are intentional with conversations and connect with them, children feel loved and cared for. Children are happier. And how do we see these results? How do we know that children are doing better when they have positive family relationships? Because they come to school ready to learn, excited to learn. They have better self-esteem. They are children who want to serve and give back to the community. Children who understand compassion and empathy for others. So, good and positive family relationships are fundamental for our children's development. And we know that as the primary caregivers, as parents and teachers, the idea is that we have some intentional time to make sure our children are growing with love and care, that they know that they matter and that they know that what they want to be or who they are is important for us, that we take the time to have that relationship solid with them. On the other hand, if children go through difficult, traumatic times at home or anywhere else, we also know that these children, we have a hard time feeling secure. There's moments where they will feel that they have anxiety or depression, and we'll talk more about that later. But these adverse childhood experiences or ACEs will also mark the life of a child in a negative way. As we were talking earlier about how important the presence of parents and grandparents are for children and their development as the main resource of teaching and education, it is important to also say that there's some other factors that help in the children's development. And that could be factors like culture and community. Why culture? Well, culture is a fundamental aspect in everyone's lives. We learn how to speak, we learn the language, we learn customs and behaviors from the culture that we live in. So when students come to our classroom, and this is for educators, when they come to our classroom, the idea is that we are, as educators, we are ready and prepared to embrace culture. We are ready for them to come to us and show us and tell us about where they come from. We know that in this country, there's diversity. So most likely chances are that in our classrooms we will have kids that come from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures and customs, and the idea is that as educators we embrace them. We provide a safe place where they can come and feel free to share their culture. How can I as an educator embrace the culture? Well, couple of strategies that come to my mind based on the faculty focus website, and this is an article written by Meena Singhal, is that we need to make sure that as educators we are aware of our own biases. And what do I mean with that? Just to make sure that in every action that I do, I am being fair, that I put my background, my own thoughts, my own ideas, and what I believe on the side, and I try to be as fair as I can with every single student, making sure that the education that I provide as an educator for them, it's to their best, to fit their needs, to make sure that everything is being taken care of and that they learning in a safe environment. So one is like putting aside my biases. Another one that comes to my mind is integrating and celebrating culture. How can we do that? Well, we can provide books and literature that allows children to learn from others around them, that allow children to learn history from others that were before her, from that were different from them, that they came from other cultures and backgrounds. It is important that we embrace culture also by being tolerant. In our classrooms, we need to have an environment where everybody feels safe to share and express themselves and their emotions. If the facultyfocus.com website has a lot of information in how educators can have different strategies to be supportive and to embrace culture. I also would like to take some time to talk about the influence that trauma and stress can have on children's development, and how a negative and traumatic experience can stop children from continuing their academic and school performance and success, how children retrieve themselves and impacts them, not just right now, but in the future. There's a video from the IHDC YH Talks, that's called Adverse Childhood and Experiences, ACEs, and the impact on the brain, the body, and behavior that a traumatic experience can cause. It is important to say that when children go through some difficult times, rough times, their brains start acting up. It's toxin. It releases toxins to the brain, and the brain starts telling children that instead of being happy and friendly and ready to learn and equipped, they actually retrieve themselves. These are stressors that can help a children to retrieve and stop the child development, and that could be neglect. When a child feels like there's nobody there that he can count on, that he can depend on, that triggers something in him, a sense of anxiety and abandonment. Violence, when the child sees violence either directly to himself or someone else, this also is a negative experience that triggers something in the brain's child. Abuse, either that it's mentally, verbally, or sexually abused, can have very negative consequences in a child's life. And separation of having mom and dad being separated from that child, maybe because parents are going through drug abuse, or now unfortunately with the new legal immigration laws, that they have been separated. All these incidents and experiences can be negative for children. And what happens to them? Well, we see the same reaction when you see somebody who's happy and feels love. They bring back the joy and they're ready to learn. The same happens for a child that it's being neglected or feels unsafe. That child retrieves himself. There's nothing in his mind left for him to want to learn. So his academic success drops down. This child also most likely will start developing illnesses, social and mental issues it can create in them, as well as depression. Some of them get to the point that they want to harm themselves because they feel like there's no meaning in life because of all this trauma that they're going through. So it is very important that as parents and educators, we try to prevent from our children to get to this point. We need to make sure that the adverse childhood experiences are removed from their lives, or in case that they have had any experience that is traumatic, that we are there to talk to them, to connect with them, to interact with them, and to present resources and new strategies to move away from that situation. Since we have been talking about different traumatic experiences for children, it is important that we also provide some strategies for families to use at home to address trauma and stress. And I would like to say open conversation and interactions. That's the first strategy. When we go home as parents, let's make sure that we create an environment where children can come to us and be the first one to talk to, that children can feel comfortable asking any questions. And I'm just going to say something as a parent. If your child asks you a question and you don't have the answer, it is okay. You can be honest and sincere and tell your child, I do not know that answer. Let me find out for you, and then I will get back to you. It is important that they know that maybe sometimes we don't have the answer, but we are still there, ready to listen and ready to assist to find the answer together. Another strategy that I would like to recommend for families at home to start the healing and the process from trauma, it's families professional counseling. It is always important that we look for some professional counseling, somebody that an expert advice that can tell us what to do, how to move on from that traumatic experience, and how to get better. They can give us resources. The counselors, professional counseling, can also know connections and places where our children can go to start the healing process. So two that we said today: open conversations and interactions with our children. And second is finding professional counseling and advice that can guide us, direct us in the right place. And lastly, I want to recommend some activities and practices that families can do outside of school to maximize that time together and to promote a positive behavior and encouraging environment for the children. And the ones that I'm gonna say is we learned this from the same website, the IHDCYH Talks, and the same video, Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACEs. This video also gave a great resource for us to do with our children, and it's called Serve and Return Interactions. And what the serve and return interactions mean is find ways how as a family you can serve with your children and give back to the community. In the process, the return interactions will be the talks and conversations that you will have with your child about what you did, how you served together, and how that makes us feel. This will encourage the child to continue serving and knowing that there needs to be empathy and there's people out there that need help. And second, it will help with his self-esteem. It will grow, he will feel safer, loved, and knowing that his parents have the same interests that he has. And another activity that I would like to just promote is just play outside with your children. Find things to do out there. Go to the park. Do scavenger hunts. Go for a hike. Anything that will promote your family being together. It's a great way for a child to feel safe and secure. And remember, parents, we may not have all the answers, but what we have is intentionality, trying to understand what our children are and how we can help them to have a better self-esteem, and how we help them for their development to continue. It's a way to start. Get yourself involved in school, in their academic progress. Get yourself some resources and knowledge, and then tell your child that you love him very much. Every child needs to hear how much someone loves them and how much they matter. Thank you so much for your time. I do have a page with resources for you where you can find the videos, all the links where you can click and understand better the concepts that I gave you. And thank you so much for your time and help. Have a nice day.